I don't know if this happens to you, but whenever I ride the airplane, I seem to sit next to someone who likes to talk. And I really like to not talk on airplanes. But there's always at least a brief conversation, and it usually begins with this question of, so what do you do? And it is in this moment that I am deeply compelled to lie. If only I could give a really simple answer, like teacher, doctor, I'm in computers. If you say you're a Unitarian Universalist minister on an airplane, you're signing up for a long conversation. You will go to the depths of theology and history and politics in however much time there is between your destination. There is on this airplane when I want to make something up that's really interesting too, right? I could say that I'm a sculptor or a firefighter, or I am the Dalai Lama's French interpreter. So the likelihood that I will talk to this person again seems very low. And yet I wrestle with this moment because is it really okay to lie? Even really small lies to people who don't seem to matter much in the larger scheme of your life? Would anyone be harmed? I know of no commandment more direct than thou shalt not lie from Hebrew and Christian scripture, and none more complex in its application. The commandment does not say, thou shalt not lie except when running for office. Thou shalt not lie except when discussing home decor. Thou shalt not lie except to your parents or children or beloveds. In many situations, our searching for the truth may lead us to something that isn't a lie but isn't true. This line between what's real and what's not, it seems to be getting more and more blurry. And certainly I can look to the larger culture of inflated advertising, political lobbyists, and this quick fix solution that fits into 140 characters. The truth is complicated, and it is not always an easy choice. In relationships with our employers, when we encounter the unknown, when we feel afraid, it can often be easier to lie. The cover of Time magazine this week is the bold red headline, "Is Truth Dead?" Because we are living in an unprecedented political moment. The scale and magnitude of lying coming directly from world leaders is unprecedented. It demands our attention and our action. And this morning I was reminded of this idiom from the feminist movement, the personal is political. And so my words are focused on what we can do in our own lives about lying, in an effort to create more truth right here where we are. I believe we will be fiercer advocates for truth and accountability from all. Adrienne Rich, the feminist scholar and poet, writes, there is no a truth or the truth. It's not one thing or even one system. It is increasing complexity. Ooh, that's complicated. Thanks, Carla. Adrienne Rich's words, the pattern of a carpet is a surface. But when we look closely, or when we become weavers, we learn of the tiny multiple threads unseen in the overall pattern, the knots on the underside. Lies are usually attempts to make things simpler for the liar. That is, because in lying, we often end up lying to ourselves. We use one piece of the past or present to screen out another, and we can lose faith even within ourselves. A few years ago, when I was sort of in training, I went to a clergy gathering, and it was at a retreat center, a lovely retreat center that had no vending machines, no kind of junk food or sugar, no soda on the menu. And so about 4 days in, I am fiending. And I took my car keys and I went to the parking lot. I thought, I'll just run into town for like a chocolate bar, maybe a coffee with lots of sugar in it. And I ran into a senior minister in the parking lot. And we greeted each other, and without even being asked, I said, "Oh, I'm just running to the post office." Not true. Not true at all. And so it was in this moment I recognized how my own shame and judgment got in the way of a simple connection. What would it have been to just say, "I need a snack, I need a treat, I'm going for chocolate, would you like some?" I don't think that this minister would have given me an evil eye and run off and told all his minister friends about my moralless, sugar-craving lifestyle. I just don't think that would have happened when I think about it rationally. I'm pretty sure he would have said, "Yeah, I'd love something. What can you bring me from town?" So it is often our own discomfort, our own fear that we are in some ways not good enough or not going to be seen as good enough that causes us to do even the smallest lying. Do you remember the last fib you told? Even the last small white lie? Think for a minute. Was there something you were afraid of? Was the truth just too hard to say? Social scientists have documented how common lying is. One study found that people tell 2 to 3 lies every 10 minutes. But a conservative estimate still says that we probably lie at least once a day. Much of our social grace, political etiquette depends on a particular form of subtle or not so subtle deception in which we maintain a sense of decorum and distance from one another. The sweater is lovely. The food was delicious. No, I don't have any problem with that. As Carrie told the story of surprise at finding his parents practicing lying with one another, researchers also indicate that by the age of 3, most children know how to tell a lie, and by 6, most lie about as much as their parents. People believe that children learn to lie the way they learn to speak, by watching their parents, by imitating what they do. And so it is perhaps a small invitation, but could be a significant one. At coffee hour downstairs, I wonder if someone asks you, "How are you? How's it going?" You might try saying something that's really true, even if it doesn't roll off the tongue as well as, "Fine, thank you, how are you?" If you really want to challenge, maybe even use a feeling word instead of busy or tired, good. Because just as a small lie can grow into a much larger one, so too I have noticed in my own life that a small truth can lead to a greater truth. And the power of that great truth, I believe, is part of why we are here. In the story Marcus told this morning, this child who is so recklessly brave with the thieves that it shocks them out of their fog and haze. It is this power of truth, I think, that the world needs more of. Most art, most drama, most opera comes from some type of unfolding because of lying or deception or not being completely honest. So I'm not saying that it's never okay or that it's possible to eradicate, but that there's another kind of drama that I think is the one that we actually live for, and that's the drama of telling the truth. Marcus and I love this TV show on Netflix. It's actually called Love, and it's a romantic comedy, and it sort of bridges the genre of satire and romantic comedy, and like many things, it's fascinating to watch the characters. And it's about two people, Gus and Mickey. And the show is all about their relationship, and it unfolds very slowly. It's at the end of the first season, really, before they've even started maybe dating. But we see, as the episodes go forward, Gus trying to pretend like he doesn't really like Mickey that much, and Mickey trying to hide her own insecurities and problems from Gus. And there's this climactic moment when they're in this parking lot at night, and Mickey has just created a huge mess for Gus at his workplace, showed up, yelled at him, started a big fight. And Gus is livid. He's not talking to Mickey, but she confronts him in the parking lot. She says, "Hey, Gus, I just wanted to apologize. I haven't been honest with you since I met you. The truth is I'm an addict. I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a sex and love addict, and I need to be alone, I think, for like a year, but I really like you, and I don't know what to do with that. And I think maybe if in a year you want to get together, maybe we could have a coffee." Not your typical Hollywood ending. And it's not the end for Gus and Mickey. In fact, it's the beginning. Because the moment we start to tell the truth, things start to get interesting. And I am guessing that Mickey, like many other people, many people who struggled with addiction, she found the courage in an anonymous meeting to be honest with Gus. And I think that we actually all need each other to be able to tell the truth. It's not something that happens once and we do by ourselves. That part of our coming together as a community is to say that I want to tell the truth, but it's really hard sometimes, and I need somebody else around to assure me that it's worth it to be honest, that it's worth it to be real. To remind me that this is actually the only doorway into love, into connection and authentic relationship. M. Scott Peck, in his book on community building, writes that connection happens when one person speaks at a level of vulnerability that has yet to be spoken into a group. When one person says, "I'm not fine, thanks." It is something that you, I'm sure, have found in your own life in some way. Maybe it's from a small women's or men's group you've been a part of, from a relationship with an aunt or an uncle, someone who could tell you the truth and you could tell the truth to. That is the moment. That is the moment in which we find who we are. There are people who inspire my own truth-telling. One of them is Elena. She is a transgender author and preacher, and we met in graduate school. She's about my age, and she's been out as transgendered when we met for over a decade. And it is this astonishing integrity that she noted for me about transgendered people. She taught me. Because imagine that courage that it takes to say who you are to your friends, your lovers, your parents, your employer, when it doesn't look like what people expect. When people ask you to be silent, to change, or simply disappear. And imagine getting dressed in the morning with your truth. Walking into the world saying, "This is who I am." I was inspired by Elena, and I was proud of our faith tradition that she felt at home here. In Unitarian Universalism, she found a community that said, "Yes, you could be our leader. You can preach to us. We want to hear your truth." Our tradition has this historical legacy of truth-telling, of holding up that we're not so sure about some things known for centuries as dogma or doctrine. They may not hold up to the complexity of the truth that we know from our own lives. In college, I once interviewed for a job that I really wanted, and I tend to do things to impress people when I'm nervous, or try to impress people when I'm nervous. And so I said to my mom, I'm really nervous. They're going to ask me some question that I won't know and that I'll lie. I'm actually nervous about this. And my mom, who knows me very well, said, "Yeah, I could see that happening." She said, "Why don't you practice saying, 'Well, I don't know,' but say it with a lot of confidence. Tell them you don't know and say it with a lot of confidence." I thought, that sounds like a good description of Unitarian Universalism. We don't know, and we can say that with confidence. It takes humility and patience to be honest about what we don't understand, what we don't know. And living into that mystery is harder, I think, than having an answer. And sometimes "I don't know" feels like not enough. But if that is the truth, then I believe it is a liberating and comforting gift to offer. And I believe there is nothing more powerful. On my next flight, when someone asks me, "What do I do?" I'm preparing to start with, "Well, I don't work for the Dalai Lama." A little bit closer to the truth. Adrienne Rich, words again to close. When a woman tells the truth, she is creating the possibility of more truth all around her. When a woman tells the truth, she is creating the possibility of more truth. Truth all around her. Truth all around us. May it be so. Amen.